Hey everyone, my name is Kurt. I am the CEO of Edifice. It's a behavioral analytics company for hospitality that's focused on increasing property bottom line income $1 to $4 per key per day. This represents a 14 billion market opportunity currently. My background is in architecture, urban design, real estate development, and was the COO of a successfully acquired technology startup, Frustum. With me today is Chris Rill, the amazingly talented CTO of Edifice, and I'll let him give a background on himself now.
How you guys doing? As Kurt mentioned, CTO here at Edifice. My background is in connected technology. Before Edifice, I was the founder and CTO of a company called Canary, where we built connected home products in the emerging IoT sector. Helped grow that company from 2 co-founders to over 100 employees, tens of millions of dollars in ARR, and over 250,000 connected products. And prior to that, built embedded systems for the US military, doing telematics and other connected, physical to digital communication, dating back for the last 10 or 15 years or so. So super excited about what we're doing in the built environment, and I'll let Kurt take it away.
All right, thanks, Chris. So at Edifice, the problem we're addressing is that tens of billions of dollars are left on the table by hospitality industry every year for the lack of understanding of occupant behaviors in their properties that they're managing. And this restricts them from realizing new ways and additional ways that they can increase revenue and reduce costs than they understand currently. They've essentially been operating in a very similar way the past 50 years by making a lot of operational decisions based on how many people check in, check out, and surveys. While every other industry has leveraged technology and figured out how to get more granular insights on their customers to provide new products and services that can created immense value for those industries than previously possible or thought possible. Think advertising, retail, music, movies, right? We're talking about Amazon, Google, Netflix, Spotify, all have been able to use technology to get granular detail on their customers to create new products and services that has created trillions of dollars of value that wasn't previously possible and changed everyone's idea of what the advertising industry, the retail industry was capable of. So Edifice is doing that exact same thing for the hospitality industry and unlocking tens of billions of dollars in pent-up value. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen and give you a couple demos now about what exactly we're talking about. So this is the data analytics dashboard for hospitality. This is showing historical behaviors about properties, and this is really useful for operational decision making. So think about how many staff should I have, or if I'm going to redesign or develop a hotel. This type of information is invaluable because now when you're staffing, you're just thinking about how many people check in, check out. You're not thinking about how do the different market segments of this that is checked in using the space. So weddings, leisure, business, walk-ins, right? Some are going to the free breakfast, not using the gym a ton, going to dinner late so that they come to the bar later, but no one's staffed there. Now we can understand how that market segment that's staying in that hotel uses that space to better optimize not only staffing, which is a huge concern today, given the continued labor shortage, but also inventory. You don't need to buy all that breakfast if no one's going to show up there. And incremental revenue, shifting the time that the bartender is there to when actually people are going to be there. So here we're going to look at just some high-level data on the spaces we're installed in a 102 unit building in Chicago. There's a community room here, a media room, which is a lounge with a TV, and a fitness room. And all this data here, you can see very quickly the busiest days of the week, busiest hours of the day, most used assets, all of it's parametric based on the date range. And we can dive in to why people use this space first and foremost by going to the busiest days, time of day. So Thursdays at 10 a.m., we can see that everyone here is using these tables and chairs No one's going to this 10-seater marble countertop bar, which is the biggest and most expensive asset in this space. This is really imperative when you're redesigning hotels or redeveloping them. You would know this, and it would save you $50,000-$60,000 not to build out such a big bar. But we can go into very granular analytics here because we're tracking things on a per asset basis. So we can look at a plan view of the space and look at all the stools, see which ones are used a lot, a little, or not at all. And in the upper right-hand corner here, you see 3 stools required. And what that means is that during this time period selected, only 3 of these stools have been simultaneously used. So when you're designing something new, maybe you don't want to throw it all away. Maybe you want to have a 3-4 bar countertop, or use asset class that's actually being used a lot. And you can see here, during this pilot, we have half of the chairs being used 5-6 times the amount of these other half of the chairs. And so when we look at this and click on this data, we can see all the chairs are actually facing downward here. And that's because there's a pool area out there. So immediately we understand that people want to come here to do work. In the mornings, they want to have their own seating with a view. So it's no wonder people don't sit at the bar and face the wall, which again is the most biggest and expensive asset. And we can do this for any space. It's media room, Friday, Saturday, more for socializing, used in the evening. And again, we can drill in and see kind of the oblong kind of misuse or kind of weighted usage of some assets versus others. And even everyone always asks about the gym, what's being used a lot, maintenance. You can see treadmills are being used a ton here. We can drill into that and see that, hey, this treadmill is being used the most. It's in the corner, the one next to it's not. We can set up a rotation on a monthly or quarterly cadence based on usage to reduce any sort of breakdowns that cost $1,000, $1,500 each, and extend the lifetime value of each of those assets there. Now, what I'm going to do is just jump into more of a technical demo to show you exactly how we're able to get this type of granular data insights that I was showing here, and then how we're able to use it in real time. So we use a ceiling mounted sensor, which is a panoramic lens that is trained for the space using computer vision deep learning. It tracks people, assets, their location when they're in use. All of this information gets streamed down to the database, and we can do a couple things with it. One is that visualized building insights, which I just showed you, showing historical information to better inform future decisions to get results that you are intended. And the other thing we can do is address this in real time. So find behaviors, information in real time so that we can send staff to the right place at the right time, therefore getting the most out of each staff to cover an additional amount of square foot better than they could previously possibly. You should think about this as if you're putting a manager of a hotel on every ceiling, what information would they collect? What would they do with it? And who would they tell? That's essentially Edifice in this real-time capacity here. So this is a view of that panoramic lens, covers about 1,300 square feet. We're tracking, and this is a lounge area, we're tracking 4 things with it. One is doors or entryways. How do people come into the space and leave the space, or go from spaces within spaces? Not a new technology, but important to understand how people come in and out of the space. What is actually very unique to Edifice is the ability to identify and track assets in a space under different lighting conditions, or if they get moved around or blocked from view. So the green squares are showing the system correctly identifying a bench, a stool, a table, a chair. And then when it gets moved, you can see the box shifting with it and having a high confidence that that is still the lounge chair or table. And then with the red boxes here, you're seeing that the system's confident and that someone is using that asset as intended. So people are sitting in the chairs, someone's here on the couch. And this is the proper way to study utilization of space. The other way to do it is with a bunch of sensors on everything. But those sensors usually are pretty dumb and they can't tell the difference between a coat, book, and a person. And you would have to put in hundreds. So with the limited amount of labor that's available, asking them to then manage hundreds of sensors in the building is kind of an impossible task. And we can get very, very detailed. You see the person here using the microwave here. They're not simply standing next to it. We're training for them actually using assets So get to that level of granular detail that's important for hospitality. And then the last thing we track is people individually, but anonymously. And essentially what that means is someone comes in, we're not tracking their cell phone, we don't know their MAC address, they simply look a certain way and we assign them an ID. And in this, we can understand the time per person in space. So Edifice is able to bring all this together for the first time to holistically understand what's happening in the space, the behavior in those spaces, and pairing this with the market segment data that people saying in that hotel is imperative for optimizing staff, inventory, increasing revenue, and increasing guest satisfaction. We can even go deeper over time and understand, hey, this is a man, this is a woman, how do they use that space differently over time? Are those things changing? Hilton is going pet friendly in 2022. And this is a perfect solution for them to help identify and track pets so they can increase revenue by selling pet treats and toys in their market, and then increasing pet fees by offering walking services, puppy play dates, or happy hour, right? Rather than just charging an extra $40 for a cleaning fee. And so this is a high level understanding of how we're able to collect this data, and now how we deliver value is pairing this with existing data sets that hotels already use to make decisions. So how many people are checking in, checking out is generally how you would staff a building, and they would routinely go around cleaning things, not knowing if they're being cleaned or not. Now you can understand this market segment that's coming in, these are their behaviors, and optimize staff accordingly. Inventory, since you know what people are going to be using or not using, breakfast, bar, the club lounge apps, we can then optimize those food costs, which are usually complimentary and free, and a lot of waste in there. And incremental revenue, knowing that people go to dinner later or earlier, and shifting the schedule of the bartender because people want to get a drink before and after dinner is huge, right? For extra revenue every day. Adding that up. And also guest satisfaction survey, understanding during the time period where you had a good score or a bad score, what actually happened in that time, and identifying those behaviors so that when it happens again, we'll know ahead of time or be able to address it in real time to reduce the likelihood of a negative guest satisfaction survey. So understanding this in real time, you see person going here, getting some coffee. If you're staff, we would understand the usage of that coffee machine, say, hey, this is getting low, go ahead and fill that up. They would confirm that it's filled up, and can do that for any sort of asset in terms of breakfast or complimentary food and beverage. For cleaning is a big thing. They usually go around, very routine. Now you're able to understand when a certain usage threshold is hit, get an automatic test message, give them a clear plan in red what's been used since the last time they cleaned, so they know what to focus on, get that done, and then move on to their next task and confirm this. And then lastly, for guests sitting in that space, knowing that, hey, there's another 25 minutes, 28 minutes left in the happy hour in the club lounge. We got plenty of seating available for you. Why don't you come up? And this helps reduce friction and increase walk-ins for additional revenue for the F&B segment there. So that's the overview of Edifice. We're currently raising $250,000 on a note with Shadow Venture to continue building product and deliver on 7 pilot projects we have in the pipeline currently.
Great, thank you, Kurt and Chris. All right, does anyone have any questions for the Edifice team? We will connect everyone with them as well after and share the recording. It looks like there is some issues with the Eventbrite, so some people are having some issues logging in as well. So we'll make sure to make sure that everyone has access. But for anyone that did or anyone that is on, so if anyone has any questions, please add them into the Q&A section.
Share. Is any questions from the audience? Everyone's experienced perfect hotel guest experience every single time they've ever gone to a hotel, especially recently. I don't know about that.
Question here from Ian. How does the sensor know that a person is using the microwave versus just standing in front of it? So we train for each asset that is of interest to our clients. So with regard to the usage of the microwave, we have seen other users or other people in the space use the microwave, and we use that to train our data set. So if you wanted to have somebody open the refrigerator, cleaning dishes, any kind of behavior that we can witness, we can train the system for. So we're not using proximity to an asset or location within the field of view. We're actually taking their true behavior and that representation and training our models accordingly.
Chris has another question. It seems that you can tell who people are. What about privacy?
Sure. So with respect to privacy, we are on the ceiling of shared spaces. So they're, and these are security cameras. So the spaces that we are installed in, the expectation of privacy is diminished based on the fact that other security cameras are there. These cameras are meant to go in, common areas all around the hotel. With respect to privacy, our data is processed, the majority of that data is processed at the edge. And then there are certain, I would say there's certain features and video that do get sent to our cloud for analysis. And we have had certain customers request that data remain for security purposes because our cameras see a lot more than some of their security systems. And so we've created or can create policies at which that video is either stored indefinitely for an additional cost or removed as soon as it's no longer needed in accordance to the policies set in place by our customers.
Yeah, and it's also important for hospitality because we're informing them of behaviors and we can give them insights to when and where that happened. They do spend time reviewing video footage now, so we can expedite that process and save them a lot of time of reviewing security footage in the past.
There's another question. Is the computer vision analysis done on the edge in the device or done in the cloud? And how are the networks provisioned to allow the upload/download? So with respect to the computer vision, it's done in multiple places. So the majority of our computer vision is done at the edge, filtering out the majority of the kind of uninteresting things that happen at the edge. When we do identify certain call it behaviors or certain motion that passes our threshold, we will then send it to the cloud for further analysis. In the future, we hope to do the analysis 100% at the edge, but as of right now, it's a hybrid approach to kind of help us move a bit faster. And with regard to networks, so our devices use dual band Wi-Fi. We have the capability of using kind of PoE as well, but we're focused right now on using Wi-Fi, and we have a mobile application that allows the installer, whether it be someone who is an employee of the hotel or someone who is part of the Edifice team, to quickly get our devices onto their shared network and start connecting as a fully managed service to our infrastructure. And with regard to kind of network and bandwidth, most hotels have, I would say, significant investments in their broadband capacity, specifically for guests. And so we tap into that into their either public network or a network that they provision for us exclusively.
Great. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Kurt. That was great. Appreciate it.